Eldridge, a small town nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, was known for its charm and tight-knit community, but a shadow hung over the picturesque landscape, a series of mysterious disappearances that had haunted the town for years. Families mourned the loss of loved ones, and the once bustling community now walked the streets with heavy hearts. Amidst this atmosphere of grief lived Elias Whittaker, a toy maker with a reputation for crafting the most enchanting and lifelike dolls in all of Eldridge. Elias's shop, a quaint little building hidden on the outskirts of town, was a haven for those seeking solace in the form of carefully crafted toys. Children's eyes would light up with joy as they entered, surrounded by shelves filled with dolls that seemed to have a life of their own. But Elias was no ordinary toy maker. Behind the scenes, he laboured tirelessly in his secluded workshop, a dimly lit space filled with the scent of wood and the soft melodies of a music box. He worked with an intensity that bordered on obsession, pouring his heart and soul into each creation. These were not just dolls. They were his attempt to mend the shattered hearts of Eldridge. Late into the night, when the town lay quiet and shrouded in darkness, Elias sculpted and painted with a sense of purpose that went beyond the mere art of toy-making. His dolls bore an uncanny resemblance to those who had gone missing, capturing not only their physical features but also the essence of their personalities. As Elias meticulously worked on his creations, he felt a strange connection, a mystical force guiding his hands. It was as if the spirits of the missing persons whispered to him, urging him to bring their likenesses to life. Elias, fueled by a mix of desperation and determination, believed that his dolls held the key to uncovering the truth behind the disappearances. One stormy evening, as thunder rumbled and rain pounded against the windows of Eldridge, a knock echoed through the Morrison household. Mrs. Morrison, a middle-aged woman with tired eyes that held the weight of 2 years of searching, opened the door cautiously. To her astonishment, she found a doll on the doorstep, a perfect replica of her daughter, Emily. The doll had the same sparkling blue eyes, the same dimples, and even wore the same pendant that Emily had cherished. Mrs. Morrison's hands trembled as she brought the doll inside. Unable to comprehend the surreal scene unfolding before her, she ran her fingers through the doll's hair, feeling a strange sense of connection, a bittersweet mixture of joy and sorrow. The next morning, the news spread like wildfire through Eldridge. More families discovered eerily lifelike dolls on their doorsteps, each one resembling a missing person. The town, once bound by a shared sense of loss, was now thrown into chaos. Whispers of dark magic and curses filled the air as fear gripped the hearts of the townspeople. The Morrisons, torn between gratitude and terror, decided to share their discovery with the rest of the town. They invited the families of the missing to a gathering at the town hall, where Elias Whittaker would be confronted about the mysterious dolls. The atmosphere inside the hall was tense as families exchanged anxious glances, unsure of what to expect. Elias, aware of the commotion he had caused, stepped forward with a calm demeanor that betrayed the storm raging within him. He explained, with a mixture of sorrow and urgency, that he had discovered a mystical connection between his dolls and the missing persons of Eldridge. In a desperate attempt to reunite families with their lost loved ones, he had poured his heart and soul into creating these dolls, hoping that they held a secret that could lead to the whereabouts of the missing. The townspeople were torn between disbelief and anger. Some saw Elias as a madman playing with forces beyond his understanding, while others clung to the hope that he might be onto something. As tensions escalated, a sudden realization struck the crowd. The dolls had started to move. The once lifeless creations exhibited subtle signs of life. They blinked, turned their heads, and some even whispered words that only the families could understand. The town was thrown into further chaos as families grappled with the possibility that their missing loved ones were somehow trapped within these doll-like vessels. Elias, now desperate to prove the dolls' benevolent intent, proposed a risky plan. With the reluctant agreement of the townspeople, he arranged a meeting where the dolls and their human counterparts would be brought together. The town hall, once a symbol of authority, transformed into an otherworldly space where the line between the living and the inanimate blurred. Families faced the dolls that mirrored their lost kin, and a strange and magical connection unfolded. In an otherworldly moment, the missing person's memories and emotions seemed to merge with the dolls, creating a bridge between two realms. Tears were shed, hugs were shared, and the town of Eldridge witnessed a miracle, the reunion of families with their long-lost loved ones, albeit in doll form. As the news of the miraculous reunion spread, Eldridge underwent a transformation. The once terrified townsfolk now saw Elias as a saviour, a misunderstood craftsman who had unlocked a mysterious force to bring solace to their grief-stricken community. The dolls, no longer objects of terror, became cherished companions for the families, serving as a tangible link to those they had thought were lost forever. The Toymaker's workshop, once a place of mystery and fear, now stood as a symbol of hope. Elias continued his work in the shadows, crafting dolls not only for Eldridge but for other towns where people had vanished without a trace. His reputation spread far and wide as stories of miraculous reunions reached distant ears. Elias, however, remained an enigma. He rarely spoke about the source of his mystical connection or the price he might have paid to wield such power. Some believed he had made a pact with the supernatural, while others saw him as a guardian of lost souls. Regardless, he continued to toil away in his hidden workshop, driven by a sense of duty to bring solace to those who had suffered the agony of loss. The dolls, now imbued with the memories and personalities of the missing, became conduits for communication between the two worlds. Families could speak to their loved ones through the dolls, sharing stories, laughter, and even moments of sorrow. The once desolate town of Eldridge thrived once more as the spirits of the missing watched over their families from the embrace of their doll-like counterparts. However, the newfound peace was not without its challenges. The townspeople grappled with the delicate balance between the living and the spectral. Some struggled to accept the dolls as genuine representations of their loved ones, while others embraced the ethereal connection as a gift. As time passed, Eldridge became a haven for those seeking answers to the mysteries that shrouded their lives. Families from neighbouring towns sought out Elias Whittaker, hoping that his peculiar creations could provide them with the closure they desperately sought. The Toymaker's workshop became a place of pilgrimage, and the once hidden craftsman found himself at the centre of a network of interconnected communities, touched by loss. Yet, with the growing demand for his creations, Elias faced a moral dilemma. The toll of channeling the mystical forces weighed heavily on him, and he questioned the ethics of tampering with the boundaries between life and death. The once heroic figure began to doubt the true nature of his gifts and the unintended consequences that might follow. One day, as Elias worked on a particularly intricate doll, he felt a wave of exhaustion unlike anything he had experienced before. The connection with the mystical forces wavered, and he sensed a darkness creeping into his creations. The dolls, once conduits of love and reunion, now exuded an unsettling aura that sent shivers down his spine. Fearing the repercussions of his actions, Elias sought the guidance of a wise old woman rumoured to possess knowledge of the supernatural. As he ventured into the heart of the forest, where the old woman lived in seclusion, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched by unseen eyes. The wise woman, her face weathered by years of solitude, listened intently to Elias's tale. She spoke of ancient forces that governed the delicate balance between life and death, cautioning him about the dangers of meddling with the natural order. Elias, humbled by the wisdom before him, realized the gravity of his actions. Determined to rectify the unintended consequences of his creations, Elias returned to his workshop with a heavy heart. He spent days and nights unraveling the mystical threads that bound the dolls to the otherworldly realm. The once lifelike dolls became mere objects once more, their connection to the spirit severed. As he dismantled the dolls one by one, Elias fell to profound sadness. The families who had found solace in the presence of their lost loved ones through the dolls were now faced with a new kind of loss. The town of Eldridge, which had thrived on the miracles brought by the Toymaker, now grappled with the absence of the supernatural connections that had defined their lives. Elias, burdened by guilt and a sense of responsibility, decided to reveal the truth to the townspeople. In a town hall meeting, he confessed to the unintended consequences of his actions and the risks involved in tampering with forces beyond human understanding. The once celebrated toymaker became an outcast, his workshop now a place of sorrow and regret. The families, though heartbroken by the loss of the mystical connection, appreciated Elias's honesty. They gathered the remnants of the dolls, cherishing them as mementos of the extraordinary moments they had shared with their lost loved ones. The town of Eldridge, though forever changed, began to rebuild itself on a foundation of acceptance and resilience. As for Elias Whittaker, he disappeared into obscurity, haunted by the echoes of the supernatural forces he had harnessed. Some believed he sought redemption in seclusion, while others speculated that he continued his work in secret, striving to find a way to mend the fabric of existence he had inadvertently torn. The dolls, now lifeless relics of a bygone era, found their way into the attics and basements of the families they had once comforted. Eldridge, with its scars and memories, moved forward, forever mocked by the mysterious toymaker and the extraordinary chapter in its history. And so, the once-charmed town, having weathered the storms of mystery and magic, learned to embrace both the light and the shadows that danced across its landscape. The dolls, though silent, served as a reminder of the delicate dance between life and the unknown, a dance that Elias Whittaker had dared to choreograph with the best intentions and the heaviest of hearts.